The movie begins with an evening dinner at a countryside residence, introducing several key characters. We learn that Alex has been studying medicine for 9 years. The next day, Alex and his wife Margot visit a secluded spot, Lake Charmaine, a place filled with their childhood memories. Near the lake, a tree bears a carved heart with their initials. Margot takes Alex's pocketknife to add another mark to the collection beneath the heart, symbolizing their ongoing bond. The couple enjoys a romantic swim and cuddles on a raft in the lake. After a brief argument about Alex's strained relationship with his sister, Margot swims back to shore to check on their dog. Suddenly, Alex hears her cries for help. As he rushes to her, he's knocked unconscious while climbing the dock's ladder and falls back into the lake. 8 years later, Alex is now a practicing pediatrician. While treating a young patient, he hears a noise in the admissions area and rushes over. There, he encounters a rough-looking man, Bruno, frantically demanding Alex's help for his son, who fell off a couch. Trusting only Alex, Bruno hands over his son, and Alex calmly assures him before taking the child to the emergency room. Alex meets his friend Helena, his sister's partner, for lunch at her restaurant. While there, he reads a newspaper report about 2 male bodies found near Lake Charmaine. During their conversation, they discuss his yearly tradition of meeting Margot's mother on the anniversary of Margot's murder, which has continued for 8 years. Alex also agrees to visit her apartment after seeing Margot's mother. While returning, Alex encounters Bruno, who gives him a card with his phone number and offers him cash as a gesture of gratitude. Alex declines, prompting Bruno to suggest a DVD player or plasma TV instead. Alex refuses these offers as well and assures Bruno he will inform him once his son's surgery is complete. Alex finds an email with the subject line M plus a followed by many /mark. Curious, he counts the marks and opens the email, which contains a link and cryptic phrases like, open link, anniversary, and 6:15 p.m. Despite attempting to access the link, it doesn't open. As Alex is pondering the strange message, his secretary informs him that a police sergeant is waiting to speak with him. Alex visits his sister at her home, where she is practicing horseback jumping. They then meet with a police sergeant to discuss the discovery of 2 bodies buried near the lake where Margot was killed. The sergeant reveals critical details. The men were found close to, but not on, the family's property. A buried baseball bat with type B positive blood, Alex's blood type, was also uncovered. Although Alex was cleared of Margot's murder, which was attributed to a serial killer named Certain, the police still question his account of being knocked unconscious in the water but later found on the dock. Alex agrees to a DNA blood test, and a nurse arrives to collect a sample. That night, Alex takes his dog, Nina, for a walk and has several drinks. Back at home, he sits at his computer, staring at the mysterious email. Lost in thought, he reminisces about his life with Margot, recalling their childhood memories, wedding day, and her funeral, where she was cremated. The next day, Alex anxiously waits for the email he is expecting at 6:15 p.m., marking the anniversary of Margot's death. When the time comes, he opens the link to find a live webcam feed from a shopping mall, focused on a pair of escalators. As he watches, a woman who resembles Margot steps into view, turns to the camera, makes eye contact with him, and speaks. Alex can only hear her voice but not see her lips move. After she finishes speaking, she walks away. Shortly after, Alex receives a second email with credentials and message says, "Tell no one. They are watching." Alex then visits Margot's parents and confronts Margot's father about how certain he was when identifying his daughter's body after the murder. During their conversation, it is revealed that Margot's father was a police captain at the time and that Alex himself never viewed or identified his wife's body. Margot's father becomes frustrated with Alex's persistent questions and eventually asks him to leave. As promised during lunch the previous day, Alex stops at Helene's apartment. He tells her about the strange emails he has been receiving and shows her the link to the web camera. During their conversation, Alex points out that the camera must be located outside of France because, while it was dark in Paris, the camera still showed daylight. While Alex is visiting Helena, his sister Anna is competing in an equestrian meet sponsored by Gilbert, held in honor of his son, a jumping champion who passed away in 1997. When Anna arrives at Helene's apartment, she mentions that she placed second in the competition, feels very tired, and is heading to bed. Helena quietly tells Alex that she and Anna had a small argument, as Anna had become suspicious of Helena having an affair with a woman from work. When Alex returns home, he once again gazes at his computer screen, which displays the web camera at the shopping mall. Meanwhile, two men in an unknown location are reviewing and discussing the same two emails Alex has received. One of them, a computer expert, explains that the emails are anonymous and that the accounts are created when the emails are sent. He also reveals that he has access to both of Alex's computers and can track when Alex goes online. The other man, later identified as Bernard, says he believes he already knows enough. The next morning, as Alex arrives at the hospital, he is met by several policemen, including Captain, who invites him to the police station for a more convenient conversation. At the station, Alex is questioned about a woman named Juliet and shown 3 photos of Margot, bruised and beaten. Alex acknowledges that Juliet is his wife's middle name and Langlois is the street where she grew up, but he denies ever beating her or seeing the photos. Later, Alex is in a car with a high-powered attorney, Elizabeth, who was hired by Helena. Although Alex has never seen the police's photos, he tells her about an incident when Margot had been in a car accident with her girlfriend, Charlotte, while he was doing his residency in Bordeaux. That afternoon, Alex visits Margot's old girlfriend, Charlotte, a photographer, with whom he hasn't been in touch since his wife's death. Charlotte scolds Alex for not staying in contact, but Alex admits he wasn't up for it. He then inquires about the automobile accident and the photos. Charlotte reveals that there was no accident. She explains that one day Margot showed up bruised and asked her to say she had been in the accident with her if Alex ever asked. She reassures Alex that Margot had never lied to him about anything else. Upon returning to his apartment, Alex sifts through boxes of Margot's belongings and discovers her 1997 daily planner. Inside, he finds an appointment marked with the initials PF. He calls the listed phone number, and a woman answers, informing him that Pierre, a lawyer, is not in the office. Meanwhile, Captain and his partner visit Margot's parents at their home. He shows the same 3 photos to Margot's mother and questions her about Alex. After a while, Margot's father asks his wife to leave the room for a more private conversation. In this discussion, he and his partner present a theory that Alex may have murdered Margot for her £200,000 life insurance policy. They reveal that the photos were found in a safe deposit box under the name of Juliet, and that the key to the box was discovered in the pocket of one of the men found at the lake. Alex later meets with Helena, where they discuss the possibility that the police are trying to unsettle him using the mysterious emails from Margot. That evening, the two of them attempt to open the email account using the username and password from the previous email. However, they are unsuccessful. In the process, they discover that Alex's computer is actively linked to another computer, raising more questions about who is behind the strange emails and their intentions. Bernard and a female accomplice wait for Charlotte at her studio. When she returns, they torture her for information on Margot's whereabouts. After a call about Helena leaving Alex's apartment, Bernard shoots Charlotte, and they quickly leave the scene. Alex takes his dog, Nina, for a walk and gets an idea about the emails he's received. He rushes to one shop, where he's told he can't bring Nina inside, so he ties her up outside. After another man arrives, Alex enters username and passwords but then changes the password. The account is valid, and Alex finally opens the email, which instructs him to meet at a park near the bandstand the next afternoon at 5 p.m. The next morning, on his way to work, Alex visits the morgue to inquire about Margot's autopsy file and photos. They informs him that the records are not available there and that Alex would need to submit a formal request, which he agrees to do. Meanwhile, the police arrive at Charlotte's studio, allegedly tipped off by her associate. He tells them that when he left work the previous day, Charlotte was with a man named Alex. Acting on this information, the police send a team to Alex's apartment, where they discover gloves in a trash can in the alley and a handgun taped to the back of a desk. Alex is at work when he receives a call from Helene's attorney, Elizabeth, informing him of Charlotte's murder and the police heading to the hospital. She advises him to stay quiet and not speak to them. As police approach, Alex escapes through a window, jumping onto a van's roof and running down the street, evading the officers in a tense chase. After hiding in a dumpster, Alex contacts Bruno. Bruno and his team create a diversion, allowing Alex to escape in his black Chevy Tahoe. After losing track of Alex during the chase, Captain visits his mother's house to drop off groceries. There, he confides in his partner, admitting that he was the one who contacted Alex's attorney, Elizabeth. He discusses his doubts about Alex's involvement in Charlotte's murder, citing factors like the hidden murder weapon, Alex's visit to the coroner's office, and his decision to go to work. Despite his partner's concerns about reopening the certain serial killer case, he insists that his priority is uncovering the truth. Alex and Bruno visit the office of Pierre Ferreau, where Alex presses Ferreau about his connection to Margot. Ferreau reveals that he had represented a man named Helio Gonzalez, who was accused of killing Philippe, the son of wealthy Gilbert. Helio and Philippe had been seen together on the night of the murder, and Margot had testified as Helio's alibi. Initially claiming she had been counseling Helio professionally, Margot later confessed to a 2-month affair with him after no one believed she had been working late at night. Alex, Bruno, and Bruno's associate track down Helio, who taunts Alex about his affair with Margot. In response, Alex bluffs, claiming he was with his wife the night Philippe was murdered, threatening to invalidate Helio's alibi and send him to jail. Helio falls for the bluff and admits that he never had an affair with Margot. He reveals that he only went along with her story, and it was Margot who helped him avoid murder charges. At 5 p.m., Alex arrives at the park and waits near the bandstand, unaware that a group of 4 men and a woman are watching him from a van and around the park. They initially mistake a woman with a stroller for Margot, but when Margot approaches Alex from behind, she sees a man with a walkie-talkie and hesitates. Deciding to abort the meeting, she leaves through a gate unnoticed by the gang. Alex spots her leaving and tries to follow but is captured by the thugs. They begin torturing him for information. However, the van is intercepted by Bruno and his associate, who kill 2 of the kidnappers and rescue Alex, escaping in Bruno's black Chevy Tahoe. While Captain reads the autopsy report in his car, he learns that Alex has booked a flight to Buenos Aires. Meanwhile, Bernard meets with his boss, Gilbert Neuville, who expresses his anger over the death of his son and his belief that Margot may still be alive. At the airport, Margot waits for her flight but changes her mind after seeing a news flash about Charlotte's murder and Alex's escape. Captain and his partner discover that the tickets Alex and a woman named Caroline Pereira bought were purchased minutes apart, but neither of them boards the flight. Back at Bruno's apartment, Alex is unable to contact Margot. He calls his attorney, Elizabeth, telling her he can prove he didn't kill Charlotte. Meanwhile, Captain meets Helena and asks for her help in finding Alex, sharing details about Margot's autopsy, including the fact that her photos were removed and she was a heroin addict. Helena begins examining the autopsy report. When Helena returns home, she is kissed by Anne, who then follows her into the bathroom. While Helena showers, Anne reveals that she took the photos of Margot and that it was Philippe Neuville who had beaten her. After a brief argument, the phone rings. Elizabeth calls, asking for a photo of Alex's dog, Nina, to establish his alibi. When Elizabeth receives the photo, she provides it to the DA, establishing Alex's alibi at the time of Charlotte's murder and calling for a press release stating that Alex is only wanted for questioning. The next day, Alex visits Helena, where Anne apologizes for not revealing the photos earlier. Captain and his partner also apologize and give Alex a copy of the autopsy report. Upon reading it, Alex realizes the dead woman is much taller than Margot. After a few more words, Alex leaves. As he exits, flowers are delivered to the apartment for him. Alex then drives to Margot's parents' house with the flowers in the back seat. He enters when the front door is slightly open, and upon entering the kitchen, Margot's father pulls a gun on him. After frisking him, he tells Alex to sit in the living room. As Margot's father pours a drink, he begins telling Alex the full story, with scenes illustrating his narrative. Months before the events at Lake Charmaine, a distressed boy from the Children's Trust confided in Margot, revealing that Philippe Neuville had molested him. Margot invited Philippe to her country home, where she planned to confront him and get a confession for her father, who waited outside. However, Philippe violently retaliated and began beating Margot. Her father then stormed in with a shotgun and shot Philippe dead in a fit of rage. As Margot's father recounts the story, the scene switches to the police, who are listening through a wire worn by Alex. The signal briefly cuts out, but when it resumes, it is revealed that Margot's father disposed of Philippe's body and framed Helio, a boy from the trust, for the crime. Margot, unwilling to let Helio take the fall, provided him with an alibi. To protect herself, Margot placed incriminating photos of Philippe in a safe deposit box and warned Gilbert Neuville, who she knew would retaliate. Margot's father then reveals that Neuville had significant influence over the police and politicians, including him. He tapped Neuville's phones and learned of a plot to kill Margot and retrieve the evidence. To outsmart Neuville, Margot's father paid one of Neuville's hired men to help him stage Margot's death using a body of a drug user. He mutilated the face to obscure her identity and staged the scene to appear as though a serial killer, certain, was responsible. Margot's father explains that he dragged Alex from the lake, loaded Margot's body into his car, and killed the two men hired by Neuville. He buried them 100 meters away, told Margot that Alex had died, and sent her away to Spain to live in hiding, cutting contact with her. The only mistake he admits to is leaving the key to the safe deposit box in the pocket of one of the dead men. When Alex asks why Margot's father didn't go to the authorities, Margot's father explains that he had already crossed the line. He hands Alex an envelope with details about his dealings with Neuville and starts talking about Alex's father, who had also discovered Philippe's abuse. 6 months earlier, Alex's father demanded Margot's father type a complaint about Philippe, but when Gilbert read it, he had Alex's father killed in a staged hunting accident. Enraged by the story, Alex picks up a gun, aiming it at Margot's father, but then regains his senses and leaves the house. Outside, he's met by a SWAT team and Captain. As Alex closes the door, a gunshot rings out. Alex hands the envelope to the police, removes the wire from under his shirt, and walks away. Gilbert Neuville is arrested at his son's jumping show. As he's escorted away, a rider falls on a jump. Later, Alex drives to Lake Charmaine, reflecting on the story Margot's father told him. Flashbacks reveal the true events. Instead of Margot's father shooting Philippe, Margot herself shoots him after he violently attacked her. She had loaded the shotgun and followed him outside, shooting him twice. Alex stands by the tree carved with their initials and hash marks. When he hears footsteps, he drops to his knees and cries. Margot walks up behind him, and the scene transitions to a flashback of their childhood, where they sit together on the pier, holding hands and kissing. If you like our work, please share it with your friends and subscribe.